Call the meeting to order at 2:01 p.m. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Orleans Committee of Whole meeting for June 17th, 2026. So my mic's on. This meeting is being held in person and through the platform Zoom. A link for virtual participation can be found on today's agenda or on the city's website. My name is Jeff Sproul. I am the Deputy Mayor of Orleans, and I will be chairing this Committee of Whole meeting. This meeting will have no action by the council and will serve as an information and discussion meeting. We will start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Torres.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call roll?
Councilmember Torres,
Present.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Tracy,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sproul,
Present.
Councilmember Holland,
Present.
Councilmember Hogan,
Present.
and Councilmember Reed. The roll is complete. We have a quorum.
So it sounds like we have a couple council members out. Do we have a motion to excuse?
Motion to excuse both of them.
I second.
Okay, Councilmember Tracy and seconded by Councilmember Torres. Those two are excused. Information will be presented to council and the public to better understand not only current events and activities in the city, but to preview potential future agenda bills to be voted on at a later date in a council meeting. Council will have discussion following each presentation by staff and the opportunity to ask questions of the presenter. I will initially call on each council member for questions and subsequent questions by raising your hand and waiting for the chair to acknowledge you. Audience members will not be able to participate at this meeting during the discussion to council. At this time, I will ask for any requests for additions or modifications to the agenda. I do have one. There is on the front page of the agenda, it says AB 2646. It should be AB 2645. We're just making a clerical error there, so.
Is that for the parametrics billing audit?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will go into our community reports. And we have no community reports, so staff reports, they're kind of.
Okay. If it's all right, I would like to do both A and G together today.
Sure.
Council approves. So let's talk about Kansas Street. The water lines have been mostly completed. They will now begin putting in the storm lines. We're having to move a PSE power line to get the storm line under it. That'll be an interesting moment where they dig a 40-foot by 10-foot trench. They lift up the power line, which is an 8-inch PVC, get the storm line under it, and then 6 inches of material, and then they put the power line back down. So it was really something to watch our teams work together on that to look at something that was looked almost impossible to do, but it's going to work. At this time, there's still been no formal change orders. PSE is continuing to put in new lines, and they're working on Fridays and Saturdays to avoid conflict with ACI. We've been using the parametrics inspector for the time being. To pay for that, we're using the $20,000 urgent portion of your construction engineering contract that does not require a contract change. For urgent matters, you're allowed to go up to $20,000. But after that, we will have to pay for someone. We have 10 months to go, and we will actually need to go out for RFQ for those services. I got what I would call soft price potentials because this is an RFQ. You can't ask for an actual proposal. But I got soft prices of over 200,000 for the next 10 months to have 40 hours a week of inspection services. Now, this is, I don't know if you know what inspection services are like on a project like this, but they're deep. The inspector is watching the contractor constantly. They're seeing how they're digging, where they're digging. They know that there are markings where things are. Are they following those? Are they following the contract and the bid documents? It is a big job. And the companies that have those kind of peoples are more expensive, and that would include Parametrics and our other on-call engineering company, SQ. What is it? SQ, what? Help me out here. It's SCJ. They had identical sort of soft bids, is what I'll say. So we'll go up for RFQ and see if we can make a better deal for an inspector. Now, to help out with price, one, we won't be paying the salaries of two people that would have been involved in this, the project manager or our inspector that we had previously. So that will help pay for that. In addition, the mayor and I learned just this last week that we've got $228,000 sitting over in Pierce County Flood District that we can take advantage of if we have a storm project. Well, we have a storm project. We're putting in a bunch of pipe, about 3/4 of a mile stormwater pipe, which is really going to help with stormwater in the city. So we believe we can get that money. So our big idea here is how do we keep that project within budget? And that's what we're trying to do here. And we think we're going to do that. Bridge, very, very close to completion, expecting it to be completed by August. They're waiting on some railings to come in, and they're still finishing up property cleanup. Charter Park, we're at 60% engineering here by this Friday. The restroom is still a work in process. I have this joke that it was harder for me to build this restroom than it was this city hall. I'm taking longer too. We have a memo that we've put together for the Lions Club to sign. I'll get that out this week to the president of the Lions Club. We did find out that the floors are required to be sloped by code for a commercial restroom. So I've got bids coming in for that. Probably get that done first before our guys come in, our volunteers come in, which happen to include, I think, a few of our council members who are Lions. I've also paid PSE for their electrical work. Yeah, I hope that's the final bill. They were a little vague with me. We think that pays for the transformer and vault that has to go in. And then we'll bring our on-call electrician in to complete the electrical hookups, and then Lions can begin. Hoping to have you ready by the end of July at the latest. Wastewater plant issues. We were contacted, the mayor and I, by Department of Ecology yesterday. We were told that our lagoon is out of compliance. We've had a plan in place, and we're taking this to council. We were planning to be out for our request for proposal in July and be dredging the lagoon in August. We had told DOE that was our plan for this summer. That apparently now is not fast enough. So they contacted us. They're looking for more urgent work to happen very, very soon. Because of that, we would like to request a special meeting of the council for Monday, June 29th. Monday, June 29th, 5 o'clock. Monday, June 29th at 5. Not only to deal with that urgent issue, but also to bring the capital improvement plans to you of wastewater, water, and stormwater, and to start talking about rates. So we really needed a meeting just for those things. So if council is willing to do that, we'd really like to set that time up. Has anyone got a time problem with that at this point, or calendar date problem? Thank you so much, council.
Okay, we go on to Chief of Police.
Oh, can we ask questions?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
First?
Sure.
I just
Sorry.
had-
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have asked you.
I wasn't sure if you were done or not.
I
No, go
just keep talking.
The inspector services or inspection services that come in, they're working with the companies, ACI and PSE, whoever's in there.
That's
working.
right. Yeah.
And who do they work with the city? In other words, who's monitoring?
Well, they will be ours and we will oversee them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And do they document everything as they do it, or
They
is it
do.
just
and
kind of, oh, you
that was,
gotta fix
that was
it?
the problem with our other inspector is he
Right.
wasn't documenting. There is a lot of documentation.
Okay,
Not only does Parametrics do the construction management where they're documenting, but there's a second documentation by the inspector. Are
right.
they buying America? Are these the parts that were in the bid documents that are supposed to go in? Is that the right piping that's going in? Are they using the right materials? All of those things are
So
part of their work.
it's not only the work they're doing, but
Yeah.
everything up to that.
That's
work.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
all
And they'll
the
be
way.
coming to all our construction meetings.
Okay.
Yep.
And they're reporting back to the city, whoever.
That's right. That's
whoever's
right.
doing
If I could add to that also, it's probably one of the most critical components that we have, our personnel that we have on the job site. The inspection, the work directly reflects the inspections, the inspector's ability to inspect. And some of what they're watching, they're also watching the process that we're being billed for. For instance, like equipment or standby trucks or equipment or operation or hours of work and operation of ACI themselves. So it's not just the technical aspect, but the process of construction. So for instance, if you have drivers that are sitting idle in dump trucks and that we're being billed for, they're documenting all of that. So when they come back for, say, a change order for cost of delay of truck drivers or whatever, we have the information to document to contest it, that type of thing. So they look at the whole project, not just the actual, components of a project, if that makes sense.
it. No, it
So it
does.
makes-
Yeah,
And
no,
they're
that's good.
pretty tough too, because they get challenged
Yeah,
by the contractor on site
right.
over the issues. It's a tough.
And when we hire a company to do that, whether whoever it ends up to be, they're a consultant for us, right?
That's right.
But do they have any skin in the game? And we've talked about that before.
Mm.
And when I say that, it is if they inspect something and say, yep, sign off, everything's good. And a month from now, when we're finishing the project up, whoops, that isn't the way it was. Is that back on the city because they're a contractor? They're contracted from the
We'll
city?
bring that contract to you for approval. We'll have a chance to look at that, make sure that there are the pieces there to provide for liability for them as well as the city.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, anyway,
Yep,
that,
gotcha.
we wanted that, a little more of that on the bridge too at the time, but it wasn't available or we weren't able to do that.
Got it.
I think that's it. So that's all I have.
Any other, Councilmember Torres?
I'm trying to think. I don't get daily reports. I get reports about 3 times a week right now.
3 times a week.
Yeah, that's about what I'm getting. And then we have that meeting that lasts, it's a gruesome couple of hours, the construction meeting. Some of you have been in those, where everything has gone over. And so we really get a deep dive in that meeting. But anything that's happening or they're concerned about, they're letting us know.
And they also
Okay.
report to the construction manager. So they have a full team of people, the construction manager, the engineer, city administrator, myself, that they have, that they're reporting information back up through.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Hogan?
Thank you, Deputy. So we could actually have a different contractor being the inspector and reporting to our contracted construction management.
Yeah,
team.
I'm anticipating that Parametrics and SCJ will both bid this thing. But I'm anticipating other bidders. And we're going to be looking for, price is going to be very significant, important part, but not the only part. They really got to show that they can handle a project like this.
Right. I mean, that's, to us, it's critical.
Yeah.
And we did have quite the challenge on the bridge,
Yeah.
which we didn't catch on to till it was too late. And then when we assumed we were gonna have our own inspector, that didn't work out too well, did it? So, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Holland.
So when we get to, when is the contract coming out so we can take a look at it?
When does, I'm sorry,
I said,
Councilmember?
when is excuse me, the contract, when is it coming out so we can take a look at it?
So first, we're going out for bid. So first, I'm putting out the RFQ. And we expect to get that out next week. Now, we've got another one out right now for inspection and for plan review of the elementary school. I'm trying to see if I can tag on with that one. But if I can't, then we have to put out our own. Then when we are selecting someone, that's when we would have the contract for you to look at. I think we're a month away from actually having that for you. So I'll be looking at Ryan here. Brian will have it for you in a month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Hogan.
So who's doing it now?
A parametrics contracted person, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, even though he's, with parametrics, I mean, who he's looking at is the contractor. He's
Exactly.
not looking at
He doesn't,
parametrics.
yes,
Right.
and totally, it's a different game.
Yeah, they were able to give us someone. We needed somebody right away. We had our superintendent doing half a day and one of their engineers doing half a day, and that lasted for 2 weeks. And then unfortunately, we didn't have a public works director, and our things were starting to hurt at public works. So we needed someone to get on that would do it in the short term. And we have that 20,000 as part of our contract to pay for that person. So that's what we're doing in the short run.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Chief.
Thank you. Ooh, that's quite loud. So we wanted to remind everybody with the warmer weather that the 4th of July is just around the corner. The police department has created a website explaining fireworks, all things fireworks, and that's posted on our website at cityofording.org/fireworks. And that was put together to explain the different types of fireworks, which ones are legal, which ones are illegal. And it includes photos to help folks identify those. So just wanted to remind you that that resource is out there. If you were asked questions from the public, it can help you answer some of those questions. Our automated school zone camera program is doing quite well. We have had 734 citations since the 1st of June. Of those, I ran some numbers from all of those citations, and of those, about 445 are zip codes outside of 98360, and 289 are within the 98360 or within the city. And so that essentially kind of underscores what we had initially anticipated as far as a lot of our speeding problems coming from folks that are just traveling through town and are not residents of Ording themselves. And so that gives you kind of a snapshot photo of what's occurring with those zip codes. I also included a chart which breaks down the top 10 zip codes other than 98360. And the number of violations from within each one of those zip codes. We have some new volcanic hazard information material. The EPIC planning team has worked closely with USGS over the last 12 months to develop some outreach materials that we are excited to present. You should have received a pamphlet on near your materials. This is what the USGS has recently released. This is their first LAHAR pamphlet that they have done. Their goal was to create a education material that could be used in multiple states, not just specific to Mount Rainier. And they met with us numerous times to help develop the content in this packet, and they have finally push this product out. They provided us with a couple cases of them, so we have these for public events, and we plan on giving these out during the summertime events here in Ording to kind of get these out in the community. And that is the police update.
Councilmember Tracy.
Let's see, what was the total again? 700 and some or whatever it was.
734.
Yeah, have they all been processed?
Correct. Those are 734 that have been processed and mailed out.
And how did that go? I know it's kind of
It went,
experiment, and we passed a thing that if you have to be used, you can be paid properly and all that. So
yeah,
was it done by the other officers or?
yeah. So it was a combination of the three that are trained to actually make those approvals. We actually have been approving them since the warning period started. So we had to approve all the warnings as well. So that process, we're very comfortable with that process. It goes quite smooth. We don't have too many problems at all with it. So
Good.
yeah.
So,
Anybody else have anything for the chief?
Deputy.
Yes.
It's maybe not directed right at the chief, but how's the court handling this once it gets turned over to them? Right, chief, you said that.
Correct. I spoke with them recently, this morning actually, about that process. They're quite happy at this point. All of those tickets automatically get dumped into their system, so they don't have to manually rekey every single one of those, which is a huge bonus for them. And they've had a lot of questions from folks. They're referring those folks to our website that we have. We've got a dedicated website just for school zone infractions for these that answer a lot of the questions that they have. And they said that they are, receiving payments and they've booked or made a couple court schedule appearances for, it was only a handful. I think it was less than 10 folks.
Are we figuring out what the average is gonna be then? Or do you have any idea yet? Or, I mean, of tickets we're gonna be seeing?
Well, so looks like we've been processing between 100 and 150 or so a day, each day that the school zone is in operation. And that has dropped from, it's slowly dropped since we started the warning period. But I think we started processing around 300 a day or so, and now we're down to about 100 to 150 or so. That was expected. We were expecting those numbers to drop.
Thank you. I wish the district could go into school year round.
one more quick one.
Councilmember Torres.
This has nothing to do with the crosswalk, but state of Washington passed a law that 14-year-old kids cannot do 20 miles an hour on their little scooters. How are you guys going to enforce that one?
It's not an easy question to answer. Because we have been trying to enforce a lot of these new vehicles, if you will, the electric bikes and things like that. On the trails, especially, we've had a lot of problems with them. Our guys have tried to stop numerous folks, some of them being minors who don't think that they have to stop and they take off on the trail, making it extremely difficult for us to catch up with them because we're not going to obviously drive our patrol car onto the trail and give chase. And so we've had to do a lot of legwork to try to figure out who these kids are to then contact them and their parents to try to resolve it so it doesn't happen again. But you're absolutely right. It's a problem. We realize it's a problem. It's on our radar, and we have some plans moving forward that we think may be able to assist us. I think one of them is on the agenda tonight that I'm going to be talking about.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember?
Have we had any last meeting that we had? I think a couple council members talked about a Zoom.
Yep.
At least they're wearing a helmet.
Yep.
I'm gonna feed them through a straw. There was concern that the camera was going off when the blinking lights are, and I know you said you were gonna check into it. Have you seen any of that?
No. So we've had a couple people claim to the court, you know, that the lights weren't flashing. Those folks apparently did not watch the video link that was given to them along with that either warning or ticket. But when I reviewed those, they were flashing in all of the instances where they were saying that it was not flashing.
So the equipment's working fine.
Correct.
Okay. That was it.
All right, thank you, Chief.
You bet.
Is Kim here or?
I was gonna take it for Kim. That's all
Okay.
right.
It's fine.
Couple things, Kim. One, of course, council can read what she's put there. One thing that came up that Councilmember Sproul, Deputy Mayor Sproul brought to us was the need for signage there at the new bridge. Those ADA runways are very attractive, probably, to kids to see how fast they can go down them and with what they can go down them with. And so I met with Kim, and I'm still setting up a meeting with Devin. We're going to go over what potential signage we could put up there that's in existence now. And that's probably going to look like, you know, no scooters, electrical, you know, vehicles, except for wheelchairs, and we'll figure out what it will take to keep that safe, because it could become unsafe pretty quickly. One of the topics here that Kim brought up was Rainier Meadows, and I wanted to tell you that today I was out there looking at their punch list, and I saw that I think they have probably fixed the biggest one problem that people have had around the storm drain there in the parking lot. And it looks to me like they've raised the height of the trail, so water can't go from that parking lot over to the development. And on top of that, it looks like they either did some grinding and new asphalt around the vault there so that the water will go to it. So I'm a layman, so it's still got to be inspected by the experts, but it looked to me like they worked pretty hard to achieve what they were supposed to do there. The other one here that you'll probably be hearing a bit about from citizens will be the 9-lot short plat at 607 Christian Lane. And that's a bit on the controversial side, and some concerned citizens have been coming forward on it. We're dealing with that. And I didn't see anything else unless council has a question about planning at the moment. I might be able to answer.
Councilmember Tracy.
Since we're on that project out there, I see they put fences up all around the pickleball court.
Yeah.
I believe it is. So they've repaired the pickleball court. They got that end down.
Yeah, I saw that there was a lot of material today. They did a bunch of sanding on that.
Oh, they did?
And they still have to put another coat on it, over it. So there's a potential there for filling any bad spots when they put that final coat on.
So has the city inspector looked at that? And I mean, it seemed kind of strange that I saw the fence come up so
Yeah.
fast when they knew. But I don't know how they were planning on fixing it. If they were sanding it down now, is that going to be thick enough, or did they have to sand it down quite a bit?
I saw the material, like I said, along the particular crease that where the biggest problem was, and there was a lot of sanding done on that where the lip is. But I can't tell you I don't know if someone has seen that or not. It does have to be inspected by parametrics. So
it's
JC's on
the
vacation.
inspection.
She's back next week, and I think first thing he's gonna do is come and take a look at that.
Okay.
Yep.
And I noticed there was a concerned citizen that said he had a little scooter that he rode on the trail, and the fire gate, he couldn't go through there anymore because of the fire gate. But what I saw, and I don't know, maybe that's a correction they made or something, but on the outside there's plenty of room on the outside of that gate to get through there with
There is. We have made a deal with that neighborhood over there, and that is to not put a lock on that, but you got to pull the pin up. Pull the pin up, you can open the gate and come in. We think that was a pretty good compromise. They're pretty happy about
I
that.
mean, they put gravel around the one side
Yep.
to where,
Yeah.
to me, like, there's plenty of room.
Which
to get-
is helpful. I
Yeah.
think for some folks, though, that isn't probably quite good enough. So that's why we gave them the ability to
Yeah.
open the gate.
Okay.
Any other questions? So, in regards to the signs for the bridge, like you and I had talked about. So I want to make sure, especially for the chief, that we have OMC in place when we put up a sign and not like no parking signs that other council members put up and no teeth behind them. So,
Right. Kim's first look at that was, we won't have a problem with the OMC. Her first look.
okay, yeah, because, once kids start skateboarding down there and the police pull them over, and then it's like, oh, well, we don't really have anything to charge them with other than you didn't read the sign. That doesn't help his job any at all.
I was thinking, I would have never done that as a kid.
Yeah, right.
You guys either, right? Okay.
Sure, thanks.
Attractive, very attractive.
Yeah, very. Okay, and we go into acting city clerk and HR director, Shauna.
I'll come up here so Michelle can use it when she is ready. So for the clerk department, Andrea, who is currently in a term limited administrative assistant role, and I continue to work through public records requests with the assistance of the city attorney. The city attorney has successfully obtained a preliminary injunction in the public records lawsuit authorized by Resolution 2026-13 that you passed in May. The city attorney is working to fully resolve this matter, but this preliminary injunction puts a hold on the city having to spend hours and resources at this time continuing to respond to a specific set of requests. I also want to reiterate just a thank you to Buckley and to Treva for their assistance with clerk duties over the last several months. Their help, preparing for agendas, council packets, and getting the process going for meetings was very valuable to us. Human Resources, City Administrator Ryan Wheaton began his role yesterday, June 16th. In your packets says Public Works Director interviews are underway. We have made an offer to a candidate, so we are working through that process and anticipate presenting that to you at the July 8th meeting for confirmation. The city received a final decision following a grievance arbitration hearing that was held last November. The arbitrator found in favor of the city, concluding that there was just cause for the disciplinary action. So just remember that when Tammy presents her agenda bill. And that is all. Well, no, that's not all. We also just made an offer to 2 term limited seasonal hires for the rest of the summer to assist the maintenance team. And they've both accepted and are on their way to onboard on Monday. So that will be exciting. One is a local high school student and one is a college student up here going to school for forestry. So it will be exciting to have them on board. I know our maintenance team is very, very happy to have them coming on. So that's all I've got. Michelle?
No questions?
I got a question.
Oh, we got one question.
One quick question. What did it cost us for that injunction?
The injunction,
What did it cost?
approximately $2,000.
$2,000.
Mhm.
Okay, thank
That-
you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Parks and Recreation, obviously you've got your report there. So moving forward, I just wanted to let you all know in my new role, you'll probably see me sitting and listening a lot on issues. So I love to talk, don't get me wrong, I'll always answer questions. But if you see me sitting in the room, don't feel the need like you need to call me up. I'm mainly here to listen and learn and help with that communication role that I'm beginning with the city. So excited to learn more about our government processes and how we can keep building our trust and connection with the community. So with that being said, any questions about my report or anything with regards to Parks and Recreation?
What's the movie for next month?
So we have a Facebook poll posted currently for the first movie date. We're sticking with a patriotic theme since it's America's 250th birthday. So the three choices I proposed are A League of Their Own, Top Gun, and National Treasure. And so far, Top Gun has the lead. A League of Their Own is a close second. So we'll keep that open for a few more days and then make the final decision. So that one will be a fun choice. And then in August, I believe we're going to go ahead and go with an animated film, most likely Zootopia 2. So that should be fun. So we make sure to get the kids involved and families for a patriotic film.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Tammy's turn.
Good afternoon. So to this month's report, I added a little bit of extra information. So for the general fund, I just put some trend information in. So we typically look at what our revenue and expenditures are. The 2026 general fund revenue is 2.1 million, which is about half of what we had budgeted for the year. Our expenditures are about 2.4 million, which is about 37.5%. Right now for the trend, I was looking at the executive services because we are at like 341% of the budget, which is a lot. And the reason being is because we have the interim city administrator coded there, as well as the cost for the recruitment of the city administrator. Those costs typically would have been, if we had a city administrator on staff, would have been allocated to other places. They weren't allocated when the invoices were entered into the system. So we will allocate those costs out. So the general fund's a little bit higher than it should be when it comes to executive services. But that will happen in June. So we'll see that go down a little bit when we see next month's report. Our facility rentals are trending higher than anticipated. The services due to some increased costs for electricity. So we've seen electrical costs go up. We knew that was coming. And that was part of the amendment to the budget that we're doing. We're seeing it across the board. So we see it with our lift stations, we're seeing it with the city hall, we're seeing it with our facility rental services. And we anticipated a little bit of a jump, but once we actually heard what the PSC rates increases were, it was much higher than we anticipated. So it's higher than what we budgeted. For the financial services, they're trending a little bit higher than anticipated due to some increased costs for some codifier services. And then with our judicial supplies, they're a little higher than what we budgeted, mostly because we were buying supplies for the new person that they brought on to help with the school zone cameras. So we had some supplies related to that. Those costs will be offset with the revenues that come in from our school zone fines. So we don't see any issues there at the moment. For our legal services, they're higher than what we anticipated. There's some personal matters that we were dealing with. That is part of our budget amendment. So we're asking to increase that about $65,000. For the police debt principal, it includes the payment for our Flock software. And for whatever reason, when I went back to look, it was under budgeted for the debt principal. And I think it's because of the allocation process that we had for some of our other software. We allocate software to most of the different departments within the general fund for city hall services and things. So this was, I think, under allocated, and that's why we see a lower amount in our budget versus what we actually spent for the year. For the streets fund, I separated it out a little bit this time to kind of include our projects to kind of give you a status of where they're at from the financial perspective. The pedestrian bridge has about $433,969 remaining in our construction budget. We still have an outstanding payment that has not been received from WashDOT for just under $430,000. That's not part of the 433 that's outstanding. So that's something that we'd already billed and we're still waiting for. We still have that money left in to bill for this month's last payment. So WashDOT requested that we submit our reimbursement by June 20th so we can meet their year-end deadlines. We'll be doing that here in like the next couple of days. The city received the grant from the Department of Commerce, and we'll be requesting that money from them. They do have a holdback of just over $5,000. So once we submit that and they process it, they'll reimburse us for it. They have been pretty quick for reimbursement, so we haven't seen any issues with them. As for Safe Streets for All, there was $150,000 budgeted for that project. $120,000 of that is reimbursable through a federal grant. The city's expended $141,000 and we've been reimbursed $103,000. There is a grant reimbursement that's in process right now for just under $10,000 that's been requested. They actually have a really quick turnaround on their reimbursements as well, so we should see that shortly. For Kansas Street, that's through the Transportation Improvement Board, or TIB. The grant is for $4.64 million. $4 million for construction, $600,000 for construction management. We've expended, as of May, about $345,000 of that, and we're reimbursed $206,000. We got reimbursed from them in like 15 days, so they're super quick, which is fantastic because our cash flow is a little bit easier to manage. There's $107,000 that was expended on our construction management so far, but that is not reimbursable through the grant. For the cemetery, we're doing really well. So our cemetery revenue is at $54,482. $30,000 of that is from the transfer from the general fund to help cover some of the cemetery expenses. But we are seeing increased sales in cemetery niches and columbariums. So from prior year, we have just under $10,000 increase in sales for this time of the year, which is fantastic. Helps support some of the cemetery services. And then we're seeing about $45,000 in cemetery expenditures through May. For the Parks Fund, we have about $91,000 in revenue. It's only about 5%. Keeping in mind that the biggest portion of our Parks Fund revenue is related to the RCO grant for our charter park courts and pump track. And as of May, we hadn't done a whole lot with that grant yet. So the revenue is very low. We are going to actually submit our first grant reimbursement for this month. It's going to be before the end of the month. They're requesting that we submit it for this part of for the things that we've had completed from January through June. So we'll see some funding for that. For our park expenditures, it's $167,000 so far that we've spent, which is slightly lower than what we had spent in the prior year, mostly due to salaries and some of our other supplies and expenditures for keeping the parks clean. We have our Gratzer Park Master Plan. That process hasn't started yet. That is funded through Department of Commerce grant. And once the plan starts, then we'll be able to submit for grant reimbursement from that, but we haven't started it yet. As for enterprise funds, so water, wastewater, stormwater, as of May 31st, we have spent $1 million in our water revenue and $1.05 million in expenditures. The water fund has actually decreased expenditures, mainly for capital costs related to like the lift truck and some upgrades that we did in the prior year. But we should see some expenditures as the Kansas Street project is ongoing. The expenditures will increase for the water fund. For wastewater, we have $1.53 million in revenue, $1.23 million in expenditures. Year over year, we've seen an increase of about $75,000 in expenditures, mostly related to like the sludge reduction project that we were doing to reduce the lagoon. For stormwater, we have $548,000 in revenue, $529,000 in expenditures. The decrease year over year from 2026 to 2025 is about $99,000. We purchased a Duralift in 25, so that's why the expenditure is a little higher at this time of the year versus now. And then if we look at our investments, we're doing pretty good. The local government investment pool is still just barely higher than what the federal funds effective rate is. And it'll probably stay right very close to that for the foreseeable future. And we have a couple of bonds that we had sitting for. We have 2 funds for cemetery, and then we have a little bit of water funding that's in the 2 bonds that are sitting there. The bonds will be in US Bank until next year. We did 1-year bond renewals earlier this year, so that's all.
So as far as our LGIP, I guess today the Fed held the interest rate, so that should stay the same.
Yes, it very closely watches the way they have the investments in, because they're all short term. It's very close to what the federal effective rate is. And for a little while, it was slightly higher, but that's because of where their investments were at that point. And they knew it was going to come back down and just kind of follow the same slope as the federal funds.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilmember Tracy?
A couple here. Under the general fund trends, it looks to me like obviously we didn't budget enough for any of those, correct? I mean, I see where shortfalls on all of them, or spending more money than what we had budgeted in there. Is that a trend that we're seeing? So when we prepare to do the budget this next year, are we going to need to increase like 10% or 15%?
It depends on what we're looking at. So for electricity, we did a slight increase of just like 3%, but that's not what we saw when we got our electrical bills. It was much more than that. And then there were some things that weren't, when we were doing comparison for the prior year, like the reader board, we weren't actually paying electrical for that for quite a while because it wasn't connected. And so that was some of the expense that we weren't sure how much it was going to cost for electrical associated with that. And that is allocated across the different funds. But there are some things that we had control over and some things that we didn't. So for instance, like the legal fees, it's really difficult for us to kind of determine what those are going to be. And we just kind of go like with an average amount of what we've spent over the prior years to determine what those costs are going to be. And then we have to do an amendment. I mean, it's common to do an amendment for those types of things, but we try our best to do get the budget as close as possible to what we think our actual spending is going to be.
So it's better to do an amendment after the fact than it is to say, you know, legal for the last 3 years or something has been 10% higher than what we've budgeted. So it's easier to do the amendment than to budget 10% more and then get closer, or
we budgeted like 20% more,
Oh.
but the legal budget was like this. So
Yeah,
it was really hard to determine like how much do we think we're going to spend. It really depended on where the current legal issues were going to land. And so I think that's was part of the issue. That one is really kind of hit or miss with legal. Like you can hope that you're going to not spend as much, but a lot of times something will come up and then you end up spending.
well, they all seem to be hit and miss. So maybe going back and doing the amendment's the best way to do. But you still got to budget enough money to cover that amendment if you're
Right,
you know.
right. And so the other thing that we're looking at now too is that if like in the past, we hadn't done a forecast. And so that's what we're working on, that I've been working on, is to set up a forecast for us. And it takes into consideration the different increases we've seen over the year for the different types of expenses that we have, and then also our capital improvement plans and transportation improvement plans. So with the updates to the capital improvement plan, it's going to make it a little bit easier to try to put together a forecast. But we didn't have enough information when I first started, and I was asking about it for me to really put together a decent forecast for the city. So that's going to be really important for us as we try to go forward with like getting that certification from GFOA for our budget. One of the pieces of that is a forecast for 3 to 5 years into the future. So that's what we're looking at, trying to do that. And hopefully that will help eliminate some of these big shifts in expenses for the next few years.
I think specifically for PSE, I don't know if we've do that or not, but going to them and saying, what do you see in the future? Do you see you're gonna have an increase of more than X amount of percent or whatever over the next 5 years or something?
And we have to take into consideration, because every time there's like with the new developments that are here with Bridgewater and Raider Meadows, streetlights become the city's expense. And so in streetlights, if we're not using, if there's older lights in some of the areas, those were costing us more, and that's why we did the streetlight project to kind of reduce those costs. But then we're gonna have more costs anyways, as we have the 2 developments going in, and we have to pay for those, so. That's something
Yep.
else that is gonna increase our electrical for next year going forward.
One thing that makes me nervous that I've seen on, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these reports that we've had since the first of the year is always comes up, that it's the GFCs that we're seeing are down.
Right.
Now, we know that's gonna happen. What, are we looking in the future? I mean, here pretty soon that we're built out. There's not gonna be a lot of GFCs coming into this. So our expenditures for water, sewer, storm are X amount, and we have X amount for revenue. Revenue then is gonna be down to what people pay for the water bill or sewer bill or whatever.
Right.
And I'm sure that's what we're looking at in fees and increasing or whatever we end up doing. The expenditures, are they mainly payroll and supplies? When we look at unless there's a special thing like Kansas Street where they're buying water lines and stuff like that. When I see what was the expenditure for the water, for instance, you're looking at expenditures are $1 million, and compared to $1,081,000, well, they're a decrease here. So what I'm trying to get to is when we have let's say next year we don't have any GFCs coming in. We probably will have some, but I'm saying when it gets down to no GFCs coming in, what's it going to take to cover our expenditures? In other words, with employees and payroll and supplies, just for say water, is that going to be equal what our revenues coming in?
It's gonna be close, and so that's the purpose of doing the forecast. So the forecast takes out one-time expenditures, except for when you're planning for capital costs in the future. And then you can see like those are considered one-time revenues, because we know we're not gonna get them again.
Right.
So we would exclude those in the forecast and take out the general facility charges, and then look to see what our revenues are in comparison to what our expenses are. But yes, salaries, if we're looking at like the largest portion of expenses for utilities, is a huge piece of that, salaries and benefits. And then supplies, so that they buy a lot of supplies they're fixing a lot of different things.
Right.
A lot throughout
And that's
the year,
what we're
so.
looking at in doing the pricing.
Right, yeah, the general facility charges normally are used for capital projects.
Yeah.
And Ref Dellis, and we'll look at it when they show us their numbers, I'm assuming that they are in fact taking into account that we're nearly built out. So that does put more pressure on the ratepayer for the future capital projects and the debt that we take out for it.
Well, it makes-
Yeah, they excluded them when they were doing their rate information, they excluded GSCs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it makes the city have to tighten its belt also. Not so much that we just plan it all on the citizen. We have to
Yeah,
look at how
that's
we
right.
can
Yes.
change things around or do whatever we can, if we can, to make that happen.
And if we're going to show you guys the capital improvement plans, and we're going to be asking you, do you see anything there
Yeah.
that you think is something we can do without, or that there's some, kind of high technology or something that we can really do without? Because that's the way we've been looking at it. How do we get this to the minimum?
Some way, right.
So
Good.
you may see something we don't see.
No, it makes me nervous when I see it's always there and they're so close as it is. So that's all I got.
Councilmember Torres?
You say our legal counsel fees are higher?
Yes.
You know the reason for that? Do you know why that is?
There are some personnel matters that we are dealing with legally, so that weren't anticipated, that's increasing the cost of legal fees.
Okay, so that's legal matters, employees, is that what it is?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
We do manage that. The mayor and I require that people get permission from us to be able to use the attorney. We don't ask that from you guys. If you contact them when you're going to. I would say, well, also HR has the autonomy to call because she's got so many pieces involved with the city attorney. So the three of us, I would say, make the decisions about who's going to call the attorney. If you want permission, it comes from us.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hogan.
Yeah, it's been, I know, a decade that we realized that the GFCs, when they go away, we're gonna have issues. And I think it's happening now, finally, so that's gonna be tread carefully. Why am I getting so much feedback? Anyway, as a council member, can we get employee discount for cemetery plots?
Double.
Well, see, I'm thinking we can do a package deal right here with. So, okay, thank you,
We could
Tammy.
bid.
Good report. Appreciate it.
We wait for the resolution.
I guarantee it's on the way. Thanks, Ted.
Anybody else? Mayor?
Deputy Mayor, we do have the representative for the Ording Business Association. He might be able to speak under the community before we move on to regular business. I'm thinking he has their Ording Business Association is really taken up the banner to assist us with the 4th of July celebration for 250th downtown, and Jason is put together a lot of work to kind of bring some vitality, and they have some big plans for the 4th of July, and this is probably our last meeting that we'll have before some of these things actually happen.
Our next meeting is July 8th.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So the 4th is a big one for us, and they
And we
definitely stepped up to help
deal
out.
with consequences.
Is that mic working?
It doesn't sound like it, does it?
No.
Yeah. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, great, thank you.
Better now? Okay, so 4th of July Festival, I'm kind of catching up on some of the intricacies of it, but the overview is that President Jonna has been meeting with Michelle. I guess we have some bunting coming in from the city to get up on some of the storefronts and whatnot. I don't know exactly what those are. Mayor and Michelle can probably fill you in on exactly what those are. And what they look like and whatnot, but we have taken on as the OBA to get to each of the businesses and work on getting those up on the buildings when they come in for the 4th of July event. That's going to be a fair undertaking, I think. I don't know that there's a genuine plan in place other than meeting with each one of the storefronts and starting to figure out. I don't know how they hang. I haven't seen them, so there's a big question there. But it is happening. It's just a matter of getting them in our hand and figuring it out. We will have a booth at the event as well. There will be somebody there all day from the OBA, hopefully be able to talk and deal with people coming in and the business entities on hand. We're trying to figure out. It's a big question. It's a complicated question. We're trying to figure out all these events that we have in town are great. Brings lots of stuff to the community, gets the community involved. The problem that there is in all of this, if there is a problem, is that it really doesn't seem to generate a whole bunch out to the local businesses. That's the biggest complaint that we get. Not that it's really a complaint. It has been a couple of occasions, but the biggest thing is trying to get the vendors and stuff that we bring in all do well. I don't think we have a complaint from them, but the local businesses stand back and watch. They're not gaining anything. So as nice as it is to have these, we're trying to figure out how to get those, all of them, doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or whatever, trying to get people into their stores, shop, spend money, everything else that goes along with that. That's just a common problem in all of this. So as the OBA, and we talk every meeting about how we're going to accommodate that and what we're going to do, there's no clear path. We're trying something new this time. The city is in charge of the 4th of July. We're just kind of helping. The mayor at our last meeting was there, talked with me. We're working on putting a car event together that we're going to use the south end of the parking lot and Van Scoik. It's kind of got to this late, so we're kind of fighting everybody else's things that they have going with all the car clubs and everything. It's not really a car show as it used to be. As we know, they've moved down the road. So what we're doing this year is we're going to put on a show and shine, drive-in show and shine, just to get people to come in, figure out that we're here, figure out who it is that we want, car club wise or whatever, trying to get back in to get a regularly scheduled car show going on the 4th of July. So with that, we don't have signups or anything like that. It's just going to be from 11 to 4, whoever it is that we can get to, just do a drive-through, hang out for a while in the park, eat, have fun, go visit buildings, everything else. We don't know how many people are going to be here. This is all brand new. So us as First Chance Towing has picked up that part of it through all of our connections with all the car clubs and everything else. We're trying to get just all of this to happen. Now with that, we're working with each business one at a time. John is going to each one of them. We're going to try to get them to interact with all of these people that are coming in with cars. We're going to see if we can get them to do, especially Seams House, the 4th of July, 250th year, all of this. We're going to see if we can get each one of these to produce something that has to do with getting somebody in their door. For instance, the restaurants, they could produce a meal, freedom meal of some sort, cheeseburger, fries, whatever. If they come in, we get them in the door, they buy that. We're also going to see if we can get a donation made towards one of the veterans programs. This is a big open book right now. Nothing is in writing, nothing is finalized because we're all trying to work it out. The nice thing about it is all of these car clubs that we deal with, they all like to donate somewhere. They like to see, especially the veterans on this particular day. We're hoping that that's going to get them in. We're hoping that that's going to get them into the businesses. If it does, now we have an avenue to start working with. So it's short notice. We just had a bunch of stickers and stuff made for the car show that we're getting put out. Along with that, the OBA is working with, I can never remember his name. It's, I can't remember it offhand. I'll think of it in a second. But anyways, he is working with us. Kevin is working with us to do all of our social media broadcasting. He's working on trying to get a bi-weekly podcast going. We're going to start out with just the OBA members, interviewing each one of those, and we're going to try to get a specific business every week, 5 to 10 minute interview with each one, what they do, what they like to see, so on and so forth. Try to reintroduce everybody to the public, get them out there. On these events like this, we're going to do some commercials starting tomorrow that'll be out by the weekend, getting some little commercials done on social media and whatnot. I'm working with Kevin directly. He's very good at what he does. It's just taken a lot of organization to hit it fast. So I don't want to produce anything that doesn't look right, doesn't sound good. So he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders to pull it off by the weekend. So as of the weekend, we will have multiple videos done, and those will start popping up on all of our social media pertaining to the event and the car show for the 4th. That's really what everything we're doing right now is focused on. So that pretty much gets us up to date on where we were since the beginning of the month to right now. Everything that we're pushing for is kind of coming together this week. John will be out by the end of the week. And then we're starting to get some confirmations in, and Kevin starts his video productions this week. So he's been using the park and the gazebo and whatnot to do some of his filming. That's been interesting. Some interactions there that were pretty funny that I hope don't make it on film. But it's working. I think he's doing a good job. Insight, I think it is what he calls himself. Ignite, that's what it is. And so that is all of our events up to par. We have our board meeting next month, or our members meeting next month. And we have a speaker coming in on that one that is let's see, which is it? I don't have it in front of me apparently. I know it has to do with business funding and whatnot, works with the state and such. So she's going to be here at our next board meeting, members meeting. The only other thing that we really have going is our 2 signs are getting ready to be reconstructed. We've contracted Randall Morrow with Northwest Remodelers, does lots of work here in the city, has lots of properties. He's taken on the refurb of both signs. We're starting with the one on 162. So he's doing the drawings on that. They're not going to change the looks a whole bunch, except they're going to be brand new. And we're doing them in modules. So you really won't be able to tell the difference in them. But then if something needs to be repaired, we can go down there with a truck and a couple of guys and we can take that piece off and go fix it instead of stand on the side of the road and try to get it done. So Randall's working on all of that right now. And that'll be submitted through the city and whatever it is that has to happen there. He's handling all that. So 4th of July, members meeting next month with the speaker, and the 2 signs are underway. That's about what I got.
Anybody got any questions? Councilmember Torres?
Do you know if the Soldiers Home is having their event, 4th of July event this year?
I don't know about a 4th of July event. I know they got their August thing going. I haven't heard anything back from them about a 4th of July event, so I can't answer that to you right now.
Okay.
I'm still working on that one myself. I haven't seen any advertising or anything about it. I can't believe they don't, but I don't know what they're doing.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Tracy?
You mentioned that a lot of the businesses here in town don't see an influx of people when we have events like that. Do they keep track of that type of thing, or is that just some feeling they have? I mean, I see people walk when we have different events walking up and down Main Street on the sidewalk, which would take them by a lot of these. But some of them could be over in the Safeway complex, where not a lot of the people might go. Whether they keep numbers, like Tim's Cafe, if he has a big influx on that day, or it's no different than any other day. So I just wondered if they give you numbers and say, here's the numbers,
I haven't received any numbers. I actually have a meeting scheduled with Tim. He's been out of town. He'll be back on the 20th, and I have a meeting scheduled with him to kind of ask these kind of questions and figure that out. Other than that, we haven't had anybody give us numbers. What we have said is that we closed up early and went home because we didn't have nobody. That was during the Daffodil. I don't, the other part of this, as you brought up, you have the downtown sector and then you have the sector over at Safeways, and I don't know how any of that does. We don't really get any feedback from that in the town, no matter what we try.
Right.
But the downtown has been quite a bit of conversation because they're obviously right in the middle of everything. So what those numbers are, I don't know yet. We're trying to get something narrowed down, trying to get something more than just a basic complaint, find out where and what. But but I don't have any of that right now.
And I like the idea you said about, I mean, it's obvious for a restaurant, it's easy to do, or the ice cream place or something, to have some little special thing, that brings people in for that special. And then they can really tell if people are responding. So, thank you.
Councilmember Hogan?
What's the date, Jason, your next meeting?
That is That is, it's the second Monday of the month, which is like
Oh, it'd be the 13th then,
I believe so.
in July, right?
Yeah, 13th.
Okay, thank you.
And that one is I wish I had her name. I thought I had it wrote down here, but I forgot. But yeah, we had a speaker last time that was with the SBA. So this one kind of piggybacks that one.
Yeah, and this one's from the state.
I believe she's state level, yeah.
Okay. And just to reiterate, going back decades to what we used to call the Ording Athletic Association, which was way before Parks and Rec. When like car shows, the Kingsmen had come in and I actually talked to a restaurant in Ellensburg that sponsored car shows. And the funny thing is, most of them come, open their trunks, take out their chairs and their cooler, and that's where they stay.
And we agree with that. And that was part of my discussion with everything that was going on, is not only
Thanks,
getting them
Pete.
there, but giving them a reason other than just the business being there, giving them a reason to get in. If we can get you to go in and spend a few dollars and get that place to donate something, maybe it'll be more of an incentive to get them in the door.
Right.
And
totally-
we're hoping that we see a couple hundred cars circulate. I don't know that many of them are going to stay because there's so many events going on and we're kind of fitting in the middle. So we're hoping to see a couple hundred cars circulate through that day. You know, if we can get a quarter of those people to stop and say hi, that'd be great.
Yeah,
So-
and maybe they'll spend a little time to go get something to eat instead of just because they're not gonna be here all day with, they're rotating through, so.
Well, and they all have wives or girlfriends, and there's the health and wellness shop and everything else over
Yeah.
there. So there's plenty here. It's just a matter of getting their attention that way.
Right. Okay, thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I almost wonder if some of the storefronts and whatnot walk through, and drop off cards like, hey, if you present this card, you get 10% off today, or, whatever percentage, and kind of help drum up business that way, other than just putting out a A-frame sign on the sidewalk and hoping that they catch somebody's attention. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work to get out there and, go visit your customers out and they pass some cards out and,
And I've brought this up several times because it seems to be a passive audience on the sidewalk. And they just nobody really comes and interacts with what's going on. It's almost like there's just this line between the two of them. And they figured it's an event, so we got to leave it alone. And, I've explained to all of them that I've talked to, that's absolutely not the case. We want everybody involved. You don't have to have a booth if you already got a storefront. Come over and interact, get people to move. And it's kind of an old school train of thought is what I see, and trying to break it and figure out that everybody can interact has been this big hurdle to overcome. So that's kind of where we're headed with it.
thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor?
If I can add, the Oregon Business Association and compliments to Jason and to Jonna and the whole team. They've done something that we haven't been able to do very well recently. And I know the chamber's put a lot of work, but they've got a great membership going. Every meeting that I attend, they're adding new members. And that's really encouraging because that unification of our businesses is driving what he's doing now. They're saying, hey, wait, we want a piece of this pie. When people come to town, we want people shopping. And the encouraging thing is every meeting there's additional people. I think there are 15 businesses right now downtown.
I think we're at 17 official on the list.
Yeah. Businesses participating like KeyBank, Arrow Lumber, Edward Jones. They're all stepping up and they're all wanting to bring this vitality to our downtown and not looking out just for their own individual business, but the whole downtown corridor. And that's been a real breakthrough. And I think the Oregon Business Association and the people they have working there with that group have really done some real positive stuff for our downtown. He mentioned the education part of it for new businesses coming with the Small Business Association, Pierce County Economic Development. Every month they're having people here, at offering resources for new businesses to come into town. And that's going to really help us, I think, in the long run. So they're doing some great stuff. And I just want to, I know we've talked about it, but I can't express my appreciation enough for the work that they're doing. It's really making a difference.
I would add to that real quick. Part of what was addressed there was we have members and we have people that come to the meetings and we have conversations with just about everybody. The thing that I keep seeing we run into is what the local businesses here right on the strip especially is they say, what are you going to do for us? And I've kind of held back. I haven't got into it. I let them kind of figure out how they want to answer that. And the thing is that nobody answers it. And I can understand why nobody wants to buy into a membership or do whatever if you don't have anything. So this event that we're trying to put on is trying to prove that there's something there if they'll work with us and they'll help us, that we can help them. So this is a big push. This is it'll be interesting to see how it works out on such short notice. But if I can get 5 to 10% of the people that show up to walk in there and accept what it is that they're offering, then I think that's a success in moving forward.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Okay, and that takes us to AB 2674. Old City Hall.
Thank you,
appraisal.
Deputy Mayor. Yeah, so again, the City Council has been considering options for the old City Hall for some time. That includes selling it and or retaining some portion of ownership, a portion of the building in a kind of condominium sort of thing, to leasing it, 3, tearing it down. The city staff has been able to obtain a commercial appraisal that costs us $3,000. That's probably why it's 70 pages. They're trying to prove we got our money's worth here on this. And the appraisal shows the value to be at about $900,000. The building is in need of repairs, including the roof replacement and electrical issues. Leasing the building or selling a portion of it may require code updates. If you have a change of purpose, different kinds of practices, you can be required to have to bring the whole building up to code, including earthquake. So we got to be careful about anything we try to do if we keep it. One of the actions that the mayor's been intensively working on this one with one of our citizens, well known, Sam Colarossi, and that is to potentially look at what if we went out with kind of a request for proposal, an RFP to the community, to see what they would come up with, and bring that to council. See what the citizens would like to see happen, see what some of them would offer to have happen. And so that would be just one option. And so that's the end of my report on that. Questions?
Councilmember Tracy.
So do we have any idea what repair, I mean, you stated that it may have to be brought up to earthquake proof and all kinds of stuff, which is tremendous amount of money. So if you say, they put up a value of 900,000, if somebody's looking to buy this thing, they're looking at spending $1.5 million to $2 million just to use it, depending on the city.
The use, yeah.
Because the city's got to approve all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That's right. I remember when we were building this, trying to decide what we could do there. It was about $1 million and plus to bring the building totally up to code. But there's lesser options. But I'm guessing that you'd be looking at easily 100,000 right off the bat and 500,000 pretty easily. Yep.
Just when you come down to it, 900,000 is what they appraise it at, but what you get for it is what you get.
That's right.
Anyone else? Councilmember Hogan.
Well, I know there's been talk of making a museum or, all those things are a possibility, but I'd like to see somebody in the private sector accomplish that. I don't, especially now when you look at what the needs are for that building, I don't see putting money into it. I would really like to see it go up and see. We can always turn down the bids, right? I mean, or the proposals for selling it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a stipulation what the property's going to be used for also, correct?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's my train of thought. I just fear, I mean, it's needed a roof for a long time, so how much longer is a long, long time? Thank you.
Councilmember Torres.
Well, I agree with Councilman Greg that we don't need to put any money in that building, and we just need to sell it as is and get the money and put it wherever we need it. Sewage treatment plant, but let it go.
Mayor, did you have something to add?
I just was going to add, I think that what Mr. Bethune's brought forward is to get some proposals from the community and the private sector of what can be done with it. I think that it could be sold with conditions, whether it be, on the property where it was sold and tore down, and have something to recognize the value of that land, because it's a very significant piece of our history. It turns 100 years old this year. We've had a lot of interest from the community. I've received, in almost a couple times a month, I've been showing the property already to people who have interest in the property and repurposing it. And there might be an interesting proposal out there that might provide us that revenue, like Councilmember Therese is talking about, but still go to preserve some of our history. And so the building could be sold with conditions. It could be divided potentially into two buildings and leaving, let's say, the fire bays for us. There's been a great interest to save that to house Jenny, our fire engine, and to have a historical place to display our history and be a draw for people to come downtown and view, potentially an attraction, but still sell off a portion of the building to be gone, used for other businesses, such as a finance firm or another firm that has office space that they would like to do. So there's definitely the interest to invest in it. And I've received a whole lot of interest from the community. I think when it went on Facebook, I don't even know what the number stopped at for people writing comments of what it could be used for. So if we go for an RFP, we're still in the driver's seat of looking at all those options that people are going to present to us, and we can place some of those conditions on that building to preserve a piece for us and to recognize our history going forward. I know former Mayor Colarossi really wanted to see something there for our history. And if we could do that, I think we'd really be doing the community a good service.
Any other questions? So at this time, this is just information only?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Hogan.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I like the input. When you look at social media, I like subtract 99% of it, because those people don't want to put any money into the building. They just want somebody else to do it. So thank you.
Okay, let's go to AB 2645.
This is the topic we've been calling an audit of Parametrics billings. The last time that we talked about this, one of the ideas that came up was, let's look at our top 5 vendors and see how we handle their billings. In other words, should there be an auditing process that's occurring, not just with the Parametrics, but others? Now, I took out the contractors, Quigley and ACI, because those are one-time deals. So what we got, the top is Parametrics, and 2025 is 1.8 million. Now that includes when they were doing design and engineering, contract engineering, as well as their on-call work. At this time, the mayor and I do meet with JC weekly. We spend about an hour together. We go over all the work that they're doing. And then when we get the billings, that is sort of our comparison time to say, does that make sense? Does that billing look like what we've been talking about? So that's not a bad process. And they do get relatively detailed with the hour that was spent doing this, the hour that was spent doing that. but they do a lot of pieces for us, a lot of work. The next was Lighthouse. We're expecting 177,000 in 2026. Most contact, it says here, with the city attorney is managed through the mayor, city administrator, and the human resources director. There are occasional use by council, which we do not manage. The mayor and the city administrator review the billing before payment. And again, their billing processes show pretty clearly to us what we already know has been going on, what's been happening. So there's nothing there that surprises us or says, well, we should investigate this or audit it. Lock Systems, our IT outfit, we're looking at 167,000 in 2025. I was looking today with Tammy. We were looking at the invoice they create, again, very detailed, tells you specifically the work they were doing, what that cost. And we feel like we've got a pretty good handle on that, that when we do say yes to that bill, that it looks right. Not 100%, but we're probably pretty darn close to that. The final one is 911. And that one, there isn't much you can do about that. That's for our police radios, and you got to pay that. So, any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Good catch. Yep, next page. Thanks. Yeah, Kim Gunderson, expecting 133,000 for 2026. Again, just like with JC, the mayor and I meet with Kim every week. We spend, I would say, at least a half hour to an hour together, and we go over all of the work that she's doing. So again, when I see her billings, I've been able to feel like, yeah, I've seen all of that. I know about that. So we feel, again, pretty strong that we have a pretty good auditing process ourselves. Not 100%, but it's pretty close.
And then I probably have a question for HR. So since Kim quit and now we're utilizing her this way, I'm thinking that it's probably cheaper than when she was on staff, considering all her wages and benefits.
Yes, overall, it is cheaper to contract. We have fewer hours with it as a contract, but she's not working 40 hours a week for us.
Right.
So it is lower.
Mayor?
If I could add one other piece of this puzzle with the planner and with the engineering firm, is that when we're dealing with the school district right now, we have a mechanism for the school district to reimburse us for their time. So when we're working on their projects and we're meeting with them, that time will be reimbursed through other sources. So we have a revenue stream to help us fund that. And you don't necessarily see that in your warrant, each month, but that's part of that contracted service that we have.
Yeah, don't we do that with anybody that comes through with a project like that?
Yeah.
It always gets billed back
you
by
can bill it
per
back,
hour
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I do.
Councilmember Hogan?
Is Tammy involved with any of this, Mayor?
Caught my look, didn't you? Yes, she is. Yeah. Actually, in the conversations with the school districts, as an example, is Planner Gunderson offers up a one-time meeting at no cost for people to come in and to review their plans. But when you get into a large project like the school district, for instance, we need to set up mechanisms for that to happen. And so they're fully on board right now with an agreement to fund us, refund us their time. I could let Tammy speak if you want, but that's ideally how it should be working.
Okay, thank you. Is that planner job still posted, or did you guys pull it, Sean?
No, I pulled it down. I really wasn't getting anything. And I mean, I understood council to be happy with the contracted services, so I pulled it down so that I didn't get applications I have to review and then tell them, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, great. Yeah. Don't burn up any wages just telling people to go away. So, Okay, great. That sounds, I'm happy with it. Thanks, Deputy.
And I think the other thing about polling that, if we kept that position open, then we'd also have to have wages and benefits in our financial reporting for next year and our budget and everything else. So it's better to hack that off than to keep those still in our forecast. Go ahead, Councilmember Churchman.
I know both of you are fairly new. I mean, what are we in 6 months now? Have you, in going over this with all these companies, to do that, have you ever found anything that you said, wait a second, let's give a second look at this?
I did the billings for paramedics back when I was here before I actually entered it. So I got very intimate with their billing. No, I haven't found a single thing.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Thanks.
And I think reviewing all the warrants, you know, that Tammy presents, and then all the backing to those now, especially, you know, with our local vendors where we just go in and charge things. I think I'm not having as many questions as I had,
Right.
you know, like last year and things like that. So any other questions? Okay. So this one is just another info only, right?
Yeah, we can let go of it or we can continue to talk about it.
I'm happy for now.
Yeah, for now, we can always bring it back if we need to, but yeah, let's consider this one closed. And
Yeah.
thank you very much for the information and kind of seeing where, I'm not surprised by anything here by the top 5, other than 911 services. That was the only one that I didn't think of, but all the other ones I definitely.
Well, I think it was important that we looked at all 5, not just one. I mean, it can happen anywhere. That's.
Yeah, thank you very much, staff. Great job. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, AB 2672, surplus of police equipment.
I see an old icon coming.
Real briefly, regarding those 911, those are all set by. Sorry about that. Regarding those 911 fees, those are all set by the board of directors at South Sound and then passed down through based on cost sharing and based on your population numbers. So that's tracked fairly closely. Thank you. So item 2672. So the police department, we've received, trained on and issued our upgraded TASER 10 products, which were a part of our late 2025 contract renewal with Axon. We now have a surplus of our former devices, the TASER 7s, and those still hold value. Those are still used throughout the United States by various police departments. And we have a surplus. So rather than, you know, hold on to those devices and have them collect dust in the closet, we would like to try to get as much value back for those via an auction. So we are proposing to surplus those devices. I would like to keep 2 of them on hand as backup devices just in case, and or to account for any potential additions to staff in the future. So we'll keep 2 of those. I included a spreadsheet with the devices and serial numbers, and we're just asking that we get permission via the mayor to put these up on auction and auction them off to get some funds back for those. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any question? Councilmember Hogan.
What, Chief, do we have a life expectancy on these tasers? I mean, is there a rotation on them or?
Well, while we're in our contract period with Axon, they replace them for free, regardless if they break or if they go into a river or whatnot. And so they're always replaced during that contract period. And then after that, once the contract is expired, just the however long they last. They're fairly durable, but these particularly have some value still just because they're a later model and they're still widely used.
Thank you.
But
These things have, oh, sorry.
Councilmember Tracy.
I mean, did they have so many shots in them, or, you know what I'm saying? If so, I don't, maybe it happens a lot more in Ording than I think, but how many times is the taser used?
so when we enter into our contract, we get the devices and then as well as unlimited rounds for them, or the taser darts themselves. We have some leftover taser darts as well for the taser 7s. The darts that go with the taser 7s can only be used by the taser 7s, and the 10s are separate, so we can't reuse the actual darts. But we would be including it's a couple less than, I think, 15 extra darts in this auction. Yeah.
I think, thank you. I think it should go as a consignment.
Well, it says study session. Is that where we need to go, Deputy?
Yeah, we go to study session on July 8th.
Okay.
And
Really? Didn't study to discuss it more, you mean?
yeah,
I just wonder if there was more stuff to discuss.
You actually put it to the
Or-
meeting, Brett,
or
if you'd like.
Just to the meeting as.
we can go to the general meeting then. Council meeting?
I mean,
Right, we could have so the whole council's present, have it in, don't we have study session then the meeting?
Right.
So yeah, let's put it on both agendas.
If I could add just one quick note here. So the attached resolution that is attached to this is the product of my wonderful legal knowledge here. It has not been vetted by the city attorney, so there would still have to be just a review from the city attorney for form. But I don't expect that would take too much time. It's a fairly short.
Well,
Study
yeah,
session.
and then the attorney would get an extra week because we're not here next week. So
Yeah, study session and regular session. We on for
yeah,
that?
just in case there's any discussion further. I was looking yesterday at these phase 7s, and some of them are pretty pricey. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, they're selling at auction for up to, over $1,000 in some cases
Right.
each. So,
Right.
yeah. And I figure that the faster we dispose of these, the more valuable we'll get out of them. Yeah.
right. We may not get what what they are selling them at, but even if we got to $500 and whatever, so yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
definitely adds up. Thank you very much.
You bet.
So, study session and then
Regular session.
regular session. And we go to, let's see, oh, I think I was already there. AB 2676.
All right. So I generally like to hold any new projects or do requests to the following year as part of a budget request item. But every so often, something comes up that is kind of unique, and I thought I would present this because we have a rare opportunity as far as acquiring some police motorcycles from the Puyallup Police Department. They are surplusing their vehicles, and they are offering to sell those to us, 2 of them, for a total price of $5,400. The motorcycles will come completely outfitted with emergency lighting, sirens, and as well as the radios. And those radios are newer versions than the radios that we have in our cars currently. And those are worth well more than the amount that they're asking for each. So I think that they would enhance the department's ability to support community events, parades, festivals, and traffic control operations. Their maneuverability and visibility make them particularly effective for crowd management, event staffing, and community engagement activities. We find ourselves during daffodil parades often needing a vehicle just like this. It would be extremely beneficial to have those, not to mention even if they were just used a couple times a year for public events. And I bring this forward cautiously just because I know that there's been a history in the past with the acquisition of some motorcycles. So I wanted to be as transparent as I could with this. We currently employ 2 officers that are fully trained motor officers. That was their assigned position in the previous departments that they worked with. One of those being a sergeant who would be perfect to oversee this project. And it would basically allow them to be placed in service right away with little to no additional training costs. The purchase would also create an additional method for non-motor trained officers to receive specialized training and expand their skills, which promotes positive morale and improves overall officer wellness. It allows the guys to do something different and new that they may not otherwise be able to do in a smaller department. I want to make it clear I'm not intending for this to be a full-time traffic position, which would take away from patrol. This would only supplement patrol. We have our motor trained officers who would be riding these have already agreed that if we were to get these, that they would actually work some traffic emphasis shifts in order to help out with the traffic issues that we're seeing in town, as well as generate some costs to offset this purchase. And I think that would happen fairly quickly, and it would offset its own cost within probably just a few months. Finally, acquiring the equipment is consistent with the city's recently adopted comprehensive safety action plan and the Vision Zero goals established by Resolution 2611, which commits the city to eliminating traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2044 by increasing the department's traffic safety capabilities at a minimum cost. This acquisition supports the city's long-term commitment to safer roadways while demonstrating responsible stewardship of public resources. The $5,400 purchase price would include 2 vehicles, a model 2016 and a 2010, fully equipped with radios, and they were taken from an in-service, being currently used in service with Puyallup. They recently have been overhauled. They've got new brakes and new everything on them, and they're in really great condition. So I thought I would bring this forward as a potential to acquire these at a significantly discounted price.
Question. Is this something we need to move on right away, or is it, have you guys been in communication?
We've been in communication with Puyallup, just because the offer came about, but I don't think there's any pressure to move quickly. This can definitely stick
There's
around.
not another police force that's waiting there in the.
No. And I think that just because we have such a good working relationship with Puyallup, that they would hold on to these if we thought that we were interested, but needed a little bit more time.
Okay.
Yep.
Councilmember Hogan?
So where in the budget would the 5,400 come out of, Chief?
So I have a little bit of money. I expect to have a little bit of money left over from our the vehicle equipment budget that I have currently for our new vehicle. So I after taxes and vehicle equipment installation, I look like I'm going to have about $2,200 left over in that account, and then an additional $3,200 we could take from our radio replacement fund, because the vehicles are coming with radios. So there would be a direct correlation. It would satisfy that state law for that money has to be spent on something communications wise. So I'd like to look at it as, rather than a police bike that comes with a free radio, it's a radio that comes with a free bike.
Okay. And then is there anything on the safe streets that the bikes will benefit us?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So we, the 2 motor officers also are officers that are participate in our traffic emphasis unit that goes from city to city, doing traffic emphasis patrols. And so there is a direct correlation to safe streets or improving street safety.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great benefit to us that we already have 2 officers trained and available. And I like 25 miles an hour. So you want to see a study session next? Is that where we want to go?
Well, let me get, Councilmember Torres.
Yeah. I think $5,400 is a pretty screaming deal. This is gonna be seasonal, correct?
Yes, so.
They'll be put away.
Yeah, so we hope to be able to work some emphasis patrols, just to be out there enforcing traffic, not by any means full-time. It would only be maybe a couple shifts a month, just enough to regain that money to pay for itself, and then be out there, visibly enforcing traffic. And then maybe initially to try to curb the electric bike issues that we're having with folks getting onto the trail. And, these are much more maneuverable and safer to try to, yep.
Councilmember Tracy.
Is it possible if we used them for school enforcement, school zone enforcement, we could use some of the funds from the tickets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Everything that's manually, a ticket that's manually handed out by an officer, those funds, I believe what we have full access to as far as the portion that we are allowed to keep versus giving to the state.
So it's possible to get some funds back from.
Correct. Yep.
So I've got a question. If we put officers on motorcycles, is that like hazardous duty, or, I mean, is there, because obviously they're
Right.
being a motorcycle, right, ex-motorcycle rider.
Right. They departments often pay, like specialty pay for that. These two particular officers have already agreed that they would do this without getting that pay. And that would have to be bargained by the guild if they wanted to try to, have people paid for that at the time our contract is renewed.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor, can I ask the mayor a question?
Yes.
Mayor, are you in support of this?
Yeah, yes, I am. I think it gives some flexibility to our staff, our officers, frontline officers. And when you see some of the large events that we have downtown, being able to maneuver around on a motorcycle is gives them a much greater advantage to move through town than what they currently have. So, yes, I am in support of it.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to see it at the study session then. Deputy.
Study session as standalone, or
Yeah.
study session?
Yeah.
Or do we need to move it to the meeting after too?
That's up to the rest of the council. We could do double duty on this one.
Probably gonna move it there anyway, after the studies.
Okay, so
Yeah.
study session and then regular.
Yeah, so we'll put it on both.
Thank you. That work for you, chief?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we go to AB 2673, which is why the chief's still standing up there.
Thank you. This agenda bill item seeks to add a new statute to our criminal code, making it a criminal offense, otherwise a gross misdemeanor, to expose a minor child to domestic violence crime. In recent years, many have come to recognize that children can be harmed by domestic violence, even when they are not the direct physical victim. The legislature and courts have increasingly view domestic violence as a form of psychological and emotional trauma that can have long-term impacts on children. Criminalizing this conduct within the city limits of Orting is intended to protect children from emotional and psychological harm, deter domestic violence occurring around children, recognize children are secondary victims, promote safer family environments, and support intervention by courts and child welfare systems. This also was a item, I believe that the council was recently sent a letter within the last couple months from an individual who identified that, hey, this law exists in other jurisdictions and is currently being charged. I went ahead and I contacted our prosecutor. She is on board with this new language. And she uses this in the other jurisdictions where she is a prosecutor as well. And so a copy of the proposed language is included there, and it would basically modify to add this language. I will add again that the resolution or the ordinance rather that is included in this packet is drafted by me. It has not yet been viewed by the city attorney for form as to form. So just note that this is a draft, especially the ordinance portion. The prosecutor has already looked at and approved the criminal language that's being proposed, and the city attorney has been provided this, and are just waiting for his input back on that as well.
Question? We need to just move it to study and gives the attorney time to go over it.
That's what I was thinking, is this one we'd take the study session and leave it off of the council until,
Yes,
Yeah, until we see.
totally.
yeah,
Okay.
so just study session on 7-8. Thank you very much.
All right.
And no tripping hazards in here. And that takes us to AB 2661, budget amendment.
So previously, council had moved this to the May 27th meeting. However, I wasn't able to attend. And then it was kind of just hanging in limbo. So I brought it back to committee of whole. The one thing I do have to say, though, that I just realized that I missed, under the streets fund, I put on there the White Hawk Boulevard engineering costs. However, I didn't put the associated revenue. So we have a grant, that's a WashDOT grant that's associated with the White Hawk Boulevard engineering costs, and I will need to add that. So I'll have to update this amendment to show the revenue and the expenditures. So we don't, I think it was a little misleading with just the expenditures on here. But if you have any questions about what we talked about before, we can definitely talk about it since it's been a couple weeks.
Anybody have any questions? So we'll take it back to study session on 7-8, and then you can make all your corrections and we can take a look at it then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
That work? Good.
works
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do we have a motion to,
adjourn.
and we are adjourned.
Thank you, staff.